in the squadron. They called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, we are back. We are back. And a quick timeout. This, I want to tell you, I grew up in a time where the president was supposed to be the most successful and smartest person in the land. And this was kind of accepted. This was understood. They were the best in some way, whether they were military heroes, academic heroes, giants of the United States Senate, something special, something world class. There was a book that came out in 1992. It's called What It Takes: Being Elected President in the 1988 campaign. And a guy named Richard Ben Cramer went around and basically profiled almost everybody who was running for president. And let's see, back then it was George H.W. Bush. It was Bob Dole. It was a guy named Jack Kemp on the Republican side. Let's see, Michael Dukakis. Who was he running against? Joe Biden. Joe Biden was running. And it was a massive book. But in the introduction, I never really read the whole book because it was so tedious. And it was kind of sarcastic and nasty. I didn't like it. But he said something right off the bat. He said, none of my friends will ever be president of the United States. Because being president is something so massive, so monumental. What kind of person thinks that they could be president of the United States? What kind of president then figures out that they will be the president of the United States or makes a plan to actually become the president of the United States? And he used a phrase, the habit of triumph. You'd have to have a lifetime of triumph, so much so that it was a habit. And it was interesting. Like, look, I've done a lot of cool things. I've had my ups and my downs. I would say more trial than error, than a lifetime of triumph. I know what it's like to not be picked on the team. I know what it's like to, get a lousy grade, a D-. I know what it's like. I also know what it's like to triumph. I like to say I've been bloodied. I've been bloodied by life, literally and figuratively. So those who sought that office were these guys who basically never screwed up. It's another thing I noticed, that when big-time guys in Washington, D.C. get fired, and you read their memoirs, or you read other people's memoirs, like John Sununu, he was the chief of staff to George H.W. Bush. He gets fired because he screwed up on the job. He was taking Marine One to baseball card conventions. The guy really liked antique baseball cards, and he would take the helicopter down, to these damn places all over the eastern seaboard when they were selling baseball cards. And he got caught, and, don't do that anymore. We're very mad at you. So what did he do next? He started taking the limousine. He started taking the limousine to the silly baseball card conventions all over the place, 200 miles in the back of the car, a White House car. So they had to fire him. And actually, George W. Bush was the guy to go in there and fire him. And you know what happens? They burst out crying. Everybody who gets fired at that level, they burst into tears because they've never failed before. They've never failed before. If I were working at that level and I got fired, oh, okay. I had a feeling something like this was going to happen. But they have never known failure. So that just very briefly brings me to this Gavin Newsom thing, because I made another discovery over the weekend. We're just kind of putting things together. His whole identity is having dyslexia, right? I have dyslexia. I learned so much. I learned resilience because I had dyslexia. I learned to walk into a room and read people because I have dyslexia. Okay, great. It gave you all these advantages, but at the end of the day, dyslexia is a reading disorder. Okay, it's a disability, and what comes through in this book is a person who's not good at reading and not good at reading comprehension. And when President Trump said out loud, "I don't want my presidents to have learning disorders. It was rather blunt. You could say crude, but it was spot on. We need people at the top of their game. Speaking of, General Blaine Holt joins us once again, the man who has been guiding us through this whole Iran war stuff. And I guess it's back on. We're bombing like crazy. General Holt, welcome back. How are you? And oh boy, here we go again. But I guess it's necessary. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yes, it's absolutely necessary, and everything that we're seeing is, in fact, progress. We are hitting and weakening the final vestiges of what is the IRGC's ability to basically fire at anything. But in doing so, we're weakening them to the point where a revolution is going to come on. I looked at the imagery over the weekend of the IRGC headquarters, which is a skyscraper in Tehran, just torched up like a light, and it just sends a visual message to all of the Iranians who are organizing into guerrilla groups right now, and the Kurdish are moving right now. This is the time. This is the time. And President Trump is going to get this across the line. There is no way to negotiate our way out of this anymore.
Wow. All right. So let me ask you something. Why didn't we take out this headquarters day one? Why did we wait?
Well, President Trump has put himself into a very good position with his patience, because he has exposed to the world, not only has he tried to do everything to avoid violence and death by providing every available off-ramp and a very clear objective with Iran, meaning no nuclear weapons. But then, this is what the scorpion does. You negotiate with a scorpion, and at the end of the day, there's still a scorpion. And so they can't hold to any negotiations. They show how duplicitous and disingenuous they were during the funeral, and he's now exposed all of that. So there's no one who can say that, A, there's any rational actor in Iran to deal with, and B, we haven't done everything we can to avoid war.
The funeral for Ayatollah Khamenei, and by the way, they certainly waited long enough. What was disingenuous? What did they do that exposed themselves with the funeral?
Yeah, so we need some time for the funeral of our dear leader. Okay, take the time. What do? They roll in Farsi and English red banners all over the ceremony that says, "We will kill you, Trump." Well, if you're in some sort of negotiation with somebody, it's probably not a really great tactic to say, "By the way, I'm going to kill you." And so it really does. They put that out there not because they're worried about blowing up negotiations with Trump. They put that out there because they're terrified that a revolution is about to take them over, and they're trying to project strength to their people. But they're nothing more than a thin piece of rice paper now. And the Iranian people are onto this. It doesn't matter. They're going to keep up the propaganda machine for as long as they can.
It's fascinating. One thing also, I see these panel shows, CNN and the rest, and they keep saying that our side, that we, America, are negotiators, we're misreading them. They only understand force. You can't believe anything they say. What they say in private is a lie. What they say in public is true. And that all may be true. But, we are still the United States of America. And when we sit down at a negotiating table, there is something known as good faith efforts. I don't like this idea that we are supposed to contort ourselves culturally, even morally, to how the enemy approaches this stuff. I mean, that's their problem and that's their way. We are meeting them. We met them halfway, or however far you want to say we met them. We're not going to throw out who we are and how we act to appease or to mollify or to somehow impress these barbarians. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But the thing that so many civilian and military commentators and analysts are getting wrong is they're making very poor assumptions about President Trump. If they see a blockade and a ceasefire and no weapons in the air, then what they assume is that the president doesn't have any designs on tearing up the IRGC and making them go away, or that there's not to be bombs in the future. And I've seen four-star generals scream and yell, he's got to get back on the gas. He's got to go throw the weapons at him. And it's like he's in a carefully orchestrated strategy right now that's got a tempo, milestones, timing to it. And he's not panicking. He's extremely confident. And we're moving through the paces. And the paces will leave us with a place where there's no nuclear weapons, that there's a revolution, that the Iranian people take back their own nation, that there's no 130,000 American occupation force there, that the oil and the markets will flow again, and that nobody can say we didn't give them every chance to right themselves. Nobody can say we didn't extend every possible way to avoid this war.
What about this Guardian of the Middle East? He was on Fox and Friends. He's talking about Guardian and talking about making money from the oil. Is this, I'm not saying it's not real. Is this bargaining? Is this posturing? Or is this what he's been talking about for decades, which is, we are going to, and we should, because we have the power, we have the force, we're carrying a big load here. We're going to make some money off of the oil.
We're going to cover our costs or a portion of our costs as much as we can. And I like to talk about tariffs. I like about, we're not going to let Lloyd's of London and the City of London dictate terms through their proxies in the Middle East about how the economics will work in the Middle East. They've been doing that for over a century, and all it's led to is endless wars. What President Trump is saying is if we're going to get after these things, and Europe's not only going to not lift a finger, but they're going to try to block us, well, then we'll be the ones who benefit from this. You go to war, you risk everything, you're risking life and limb. Wouldn't it be great to honor our soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen when they're coming home saying, we got something for our country in our lands? And I think that that's absolutely the case. Instead of going and, here, we liberated your country for you and it only cost us 5,000 lives. I hope you're happy. That's crap. If we have to go deal with something militarily, well, then we ought to get something back for it.
Have you ever met Lindsey Graham? Did you ever meet Lindsey?
Oh, yes, I have.
Tell us your thoughts, please.
I will pray for his family, who is obviously grieving right now, and I'll wish them well. And it's always unfortunate when anybody's life gets curtailed. Full disclosure, Lindsey and I had a very tough relationship, and it went on in very different aspects of it. And, you've talked to me enough, Greg, to know that we're principally very opposed on certain issues. But I'm never going to do anything other than say he served his country, he served his nation, and we wish his family well.
Oh, boy. These guys. Well, class act, class move. The classy move there, General. I understand. He could be very, very... Well, let's face it, there are some ups and downs, but we'll leave it at that for now. Lindsey Graham. I must say, though, that Kavanaugh moment was really something. That was a beaut, coming to defend that guy. Hey, and one other thing I think you will like about him is he didn't seem to make a lot of money in Washington. He lived in did you see that house he lived in? I mean, It was... I don't know, man. I mean, if he moves out and nobody buys it right away, I think some crack dealers are going to move in. It looked pretty sketchy, actually, pretty sketchy. General Holt, this bombing. Oh, did you see the new drones? Are those new drones? CENTCOM put out these drones. Tell us about these drones that we are using. We are using drones.
Yep, it's actually just a great move to get the footage of us using that drone. That's not the weapon we had to select. It's probably not the most efficient weapon to go kill that sub bay. But I think the name of the company is Saronic, and I think it's their Corsair drone. But the reason that's so important is we need to send a message of deterrence to all these other actors around the world, including the IRGC, saying, we're on step with this drone technology. Don't listen to the hype. We know what we're doing, and our science is better than anybody's. And yes, we can tag you with a drone. We can tag you from space. We can tag you with an electromagnetic frequency. We can tag you with microwaves. Nobody's got better science than we do. Don't listen to anybody else. And to demonstrate in combat how that works, brilliant. It sends a good, strong message that underestimating the United States is really a dangerous endeavor.
Beautiful. Well, General Blaine Holt, to be continued, sir. Thank you for your wisdom in guiding us through all of this stuff, okay?
Thank you for the time. Appreciate you.
You bet, sir. To be continued. We will be right back.
Get ready, Staten Island.
The Ferry Hawks are back at SIUH Community Park July 7th to the 12th for a 6-game series against the High Point Rockers. Tonight, first pitch is at 6:30. It's Thirsty Thursday with $5 Bud and Bud Light Drafts. Friday, July 10th, first pitch is at 7 p.m. May the Force be with you on Star Wars Night with post-game kids glow around the bases with special lightsaber training packs.
Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats. Greg Kelly
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Yo, sup? Yo. Just getting down a little bit of Jay-Z. That's Hakeem Jeffrey. He's just chilling in the LB luxury box. Where the hell was that? Oh, yo, Hakeem living large and in charge. That's Hakeem Jeffries. You heard him in the background there. You heard the Jay-Z in the background. He's doing that stupid little, I'm really cool kind of dance. I'm a homie, I'm hip, I'm cool. At the Jay-Z concert in a luxury box. Now, Jay-Z, I'm sorry, is a bit of a dirtbag, right? I mean, the guy's he's been involved in gun crimes. He's been involved in all kinds of stuff. You don't want to be around Jay-Z. I can't even name one Jay-Z song except that dumb one about New York, which they played at the Yankee games, and then they overplayed it. And don't tell me he's a genius. I don't want to hear about that either. So he's dancing his ass off, Hakeem. And then it reminds me, Hakeem goes around quoting rap guys, Hakeem Jeffries. You better watch what you say when you talk about me. That's a 50 Cent thing. And otherwise he's going to blast something at the MF and all this stuff. He's going to bust a cap in you, and it's violent. It's just totally violent. And it's exploitive of women. It glorifies violence and drug taking and flashiness, right? All about the money, all about the Benjamins and all that crap. How about that? And there he is. He complains about, what does he complain about? He complains about Republicans and the elites. Look at him. I haven't been to the luxury box at Barclays Center rapping to Jay-Z. This is the minority leader of the House of Representatives. He better stay in the minority, for crying out loud. At this moment in 2022, 4 years ago, this was in the run-up to the midterm elections of 2022, Joe Biden's president. You know what America was watching on TV? The January 6 hearings. January 6, a year and a half after January 6, it was all January 6. Where are the hearings on what Obama and Christopher Wray were doing to President Trump and the raid on Mar-a-Lago, huh? Where are those hearings?
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello, because I voted for them.
Lindsey Graham, perhaps his finest hour in the United States Senate. He did a lot of amazing things, and he was a great friend to John Catsimatidis, our leader, the owner of Red Apple Media, and so much more. John, welcome. I'm sorry about the loss of your friend. How you feeling? And you hear what's coming next?
I hear I was really, really saddened. He's only 71 years old. He didn't deserve to die. I don't know. Greg, did you find out yet what kind of airplane he flew back on? Because he died a few hours after they dropped him off at his home, and he wasn't feeling good. And there was nobody there to help him because he called somebody, but they got there too late.
Well, my understanding was it was a C-140, not a C-141, a C-17 Globemaster. You know, the big transport Air Force plane. That's what most of these guys fly around on, the Congressional Codels. It's pressurized. I mean, it's a new airplane, but flying a lot. You know, Richard Holbrooke, one of the reasons why he died, and I think he was 68, was getting on and off of these damn airplanes. And what is the risk? What does that do? You've flown more than anybody. You got to watch it too.
I had 4,000 hours. How many hours did you have, Greg?
Well, not as much as you. I got about 1,500 maybe. But it can look. You retain water. It does weird things to your veins. It can be a risk, and it probably contributed to his situation. But you had these great receptions in New York, and he would come and speak. I never met him. I only spoke to him, you know, over the radio. I'd never in the same room with him. I interviewed him on TV. Never been in the same room with him. What was he like? Well, he
was a great guy, a great patriot. He told it the way it is, or the way it was. And I understand the governor is having a press conference at 4:00 today, and invited Lindsey Graham's entire staff. So I'm sure the governor is going to be making some decisions. But going back to the airplanes, I've been flying, I flew Gulfstreams, G2s, G3s, G4s, and I've had this Gulfstream 4 because it did the job for me, and I didn't want to spend the extra money. You know, I'm a cheap billionaire. And now I'm going to upgrade to the 550 or 650. And you know why, Greg? Mm-hmm. Because the G4 at 40,000 feet has an atmosphere of 7,000. The 550 or the 650 at 45,000 feet or 40,000 feet has an atmosphere of 4,000. Wow. And that's health-wise, it's a big difference, those extra 3,000 feet, especially for 70-year-olds. You know, I'm tough, and I stayed with the G4 for the 7,000, but, you know, I'm getting older, so that's why I want a Gulfstream 550 or 650, and that's what we're going to be looking to do. And in addition, if I want to go to Europe, if I want to go to the Greek islands in August, well, you know, we got a 2-month-old or a 3-month-old that I'd rather have him in a 550 or a 650 with a better atmosphere than put him at a G4. And, you know, airplane-wise, that's very important. Don't forget, one of the reasons that, the Kissinger died, I guess J.P. Morgan sent him to China. It was like a 20-hour ride. And he went all the way to China and back because he wanted to, I guess. You know, he was on retainer with J.P. Morgan, and but it always has an effect on you to do that. Now, Lindsey Graham, he is a giant loss to our country. When I heard he passed away, and I heard about it when I woke up about 4:00 in the morning, and then a few hours later, the former emir of Qatar, he passes away at the age of 74. I started to scratch my head and say, is there something going on here with the Iranians?
Oh, boy.
So, well, you know, I mean, it was too much of a coincidence.
It could be. I mean, and poisoning people. He was just in Ukraine, for crying out loud, where poisoning people is a way of life. People forget, but what was his name?
Well, you know, the intelligence agencies, if you check with Mossad or the KGB or British intelligence, there are certain ways they can poison people that is a delayed reaction, so they don't get blamed for it.
And the thing about it is, I guess it would be punishment. It would be punishment because, look, they're going to replace him with a reliable Republican. It looks like it's going to be his sister, by the way. So it would be punishment because they resent him, and because he's been on, for them, our enemies, the wrong side of every issue, the American side. So that's really something. But
don't forget, maybe your audience or our audience doesn't realize it. 3-4 days before Lindsay passed away, he was making fun of the Iranians who were advertising that they're going to do away with him.
I hope we get to the bottom of it. It really could be, and now we're bombing.
I'm not sure we're going to get to the bottom of it because it's going to go down in the annals like who killed JFK.
Well, then again, I mean, right now we are bombing. I mean, like, what else are we going to do? Add more bombs? I mean, we're bombing them really bad right now, and that's the way it's got to be. So wait, real quick on that 71. It is interesting, John. I remember growing up. If you died at the age of 71 in 1980, he died of old age. Things have changed remarkably, and it's a beautiful thing where 71 is like way too young, and people are shocked. They're shocked now when somebody leaves us at that age. It really is something. It's an improvement in many, many ways. You know what I mean? We've come a long way, and that's good.
Absolutely.
All right.
So, how old is your father?
No, boy, he doesn't. I think he's 80. And the thing about it is he doesn't, he's made it a policy to not talk about age. But look, I just saw him a little while ago. He's great. He's exercises. You know what he did his whole life? He lifted weights. And I guarantee you his longevity, and I think he's going to live to be 100, is from the lifting of weights. And he lifted starting at the age of like 16, and he still does it. And I think that's a big part of it. Lindsay drank a little bit too much. I think now it can be told. He had a little bit of a drinking thing, a little bit. And having been a drinker myself, I know that can create all kinds of problems in your insides and your heart and all kinds of things.
Well, our mutual friend, Dr. Peter, you know what he says? One of the things, I'm on intermittent fasting, which, anything over 14 hours, your killer cells in your body go out and kill whatever's bad in your body. Number one. Number two, the other thing is no alcohol, no sugar, no salt. Again, not any one thing is going to do good for you, but a combination of doing the right things for your body, you're going to be 100 years old.
I love it. Now it's within reach. Hey, those things you just mentioned, President Trump doesn't touch alcohol, never touched alcohol or drugs. Granted, he likes a good hot dog and chili and all that kind of stuff, but I think he eats less than he has before. You'll notice he's trim. He's trim. Yep. We're going to miss Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, going to be joined. Hey, Governor McMaster, have you crossed paths with him? He's running South Carolina right now. He's term limited, so he's going to be leaving pretty soon. But I like him. The more I hear about him, I like what that guy's up to. He's quite a guy. Did you get to know him at all?
He might run for Lindsay's seat, or you think the sister's going to go for it?
Well, the sister's going to be the interim. I don't know if my sense is she's just going to hang around for a few months. And keep your eye on Yvette. Her name is Yvette. She is the lieutenant governor. She just ran for governor, lost the nomination to the other guy. They're going to make her the senator. That's my feeling. President Trump endorsed her, and the McMaster endorsed her. Her name is Yvette. I can't remember her first name. Evette. And she is likely going to get their support. She's not going to get appointed, but they're going to clear the path for her. John, understand going forward, we want to be on the Gulf 550. None of this Gulf 4 stuff. We want the 550. We want the.
It's only an extra 20, 30 million.
I thought you were the cheap billionaire. You said something a little while ago.
But I'm getting older. Maybe I should spend it before I go away.
Well, I encourage that. No, John, you are the best. Hey, and please give our best to Margot and everybody in your family. And we're so grateful. This worldwide network is off to a fantastic start. Your vision made it happen, and here we are. So it's a great place to be. We thank you, John.
Thank you, Greg, and keep fighting for America.
We'll never stop. We will never stop. Thank you very much. All right, what time? Ooh, we got a little. Okay, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. He talks to these people, John does, like you and I talk to, buddies, that kind of thing. He knows these people well, and it's interesting. I remember Larry King. Larry King was coming home one night. He used to live in Arlington, Virginia, and he lived in this beautiful apartment complex that overlooked all of Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial. It is an iconic view. And he thought to himself, Washington, Lincoln, wow. I hang out with their equivalent. I hang out. I know who those guys are now, and they're my friends. And John can say the same thing. I can a little bit, but not like John. For instance, I never met Lindsey Graham. But I have met the man himself, President Trump, and he is a big fan of John Catsimatidis, WABC, as you've heard, and Sid and the rest. And I think he's doing the right thing. He's doing the right thing for our country. It's against tremendous odds and tremendous heat, By the way, 2 years ago right now, 2 years ago, almost at this moment, he was shot. He was nearly killed. It was 2 years ago today, July 13th, 2024. I remember it so well. I was right here in the studio, and Corey Comparator lost his life, 2 others seriously injured, and we almost lost President Trump. We still haven't gotten to the bottom of it, and it looked like Iran was behind it. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, putting together some very interesting content for a little bit later. All right. Let's see here. 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. I have taken to walking 3 hours a day, 1 hour in the morning, a half hour right around lunch before, and a half hour right around lunch after, which is a lot of time, I know. And then 3 hours at night. 1 hour at night. You can do 3 miles in an hour, and that's 9 miles. That's 9 miles. If I'm not a skinny mini in about 6 days, I don't know what the hell else I can do, but I feel pretty good about it. I feel very good about it. And you know what I do? I listen to things. I listen to audiobooks. I'll listen to podcasts. I'll listen to WABC. I listen to all kinds of things. And that time, and even I carry around with me a little like whiteboard that I can write stuff down on and like work while I walk. That's, I hate it's, they use it too much. Game changer. It's a bit of a game changer. Okay, where are we? Gail is calling from Pennsylvania, the electoral rich Pennsylvania. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Greg. You were discussing earlier in the show regarding Senator Rubio, and I've been very supportive of Vice President Vance potentially being the next president. I would hope, I've been hoping. But in the economic news, he was interviewed in the Daily Wire and was really philosophically leaning towards larger government. Now, President Trump has been more of a practical person, but he does not lean towards bigger government. And so it's just not that I'm not still supportive of Vice President Vance. I want to hear more. But in the economic news, for people like myself in favor of small government, a market economy, free enterprise, let the market decide, I don't particularly like hearing when an economy should drive social themes. So I'm not saying that Vice President Vance was saying that he wants to be like Democrats. No, but he definitely is more of a big market, not for the market economy as much as President Trump.
Well, let me ask you, he did this interview, which I have not seen, with Michael Knowles, who's a very sharp guy. I like him a lot. I like J.D. Vance a lot. Did you watch the entire thing?
not the entire thing. No.
See, this is the thing. I am now very intrigued. I've heard enough about it, and people keep telling me that, you know, he's going against capitalism, which I find hard to believe. And I would think that his comments were misinterpreted. That's what my gut tells me. He also may have been speaking about, hey, we're not getting rid of Medicare, we're not getting rid of Social Security. So, you know, you have a vast government kind of intact right there, and no matter what you do, it's only going to. He may have been talking along those lines. I have to listen to it because I've seen the headline, but you know what they say about these headlines, right? And a lot of the fake news coverage. But I respect from where you're coming from. But then again, you didn't see the whole thing, so I got to see this whole thing. I will do it. I will do it tonight. Actually, I got to be in the car for a little bit, so I'm going to do that. Oh, and then I'm going to go on my walk. What am I talking about? I can do it when I walk. All right, Gail. Thanks for reminding me about that. Okay.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you later. Let's see here. E. Frank is standing by. E. Frank. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Greg. I was listening to everything you were saying, but I'm a little bit disillusioned of the fact that Lindsey Graham died, in a way that was not meant to be. I think that what he did to overexert himself, I'm not blaming him for that, but, I mean, you know what it is, too. He lands, he gets dropped off, and then all of a sudden his heart valve ruptures. Didn't he understand? I have the same problem. I jog too much, and I got cardiovascular disease. And it doesn't come from jogging, but I have it. And I wondered, didn't he actually know what was going to happen? I mean, couldn't he have just stopped? I usually stop when I feel my heart starting to stop.
Well, he wasn't running. He wasn't running. Look, I mean, you say he got dropped off from the airport. Let's face it. Most people have to schlep themselves to the airport and schlep themselves the way home. You know? He gets taken care of wherever he goes. You know what may have worked against him, to be honest? Being single. You know, are you married?
No, very single, Greg.
So, well, you got to watch it because, see, I was very single for most of my adult life until my late 40s. And then, you know, I wasn't exactly fastidious about what I ate, what I drank, when I went to bed, when I saw the doctor, when I took my medication, any of that stuff. And I have a feeling if he had a wife or a partner, you know what I mean, they may have looked out for that a little bit more. You know what I mean? I can't blame him. Can't blame him, right? You're not going to blame him. But he exerted himself for the country, you know. And he also enjoyed the work. All right, E. Frank. Appreciate it very, very much. Let's see here. Who is this? Is that Jeff? Hi. How are you? Oh, what happened to Jeff? Oh, well. Rachel, all right. Well, actually, we're almost out of time anyway. So, look, I might as well let the cat out of the bag. I've been speaking to President Trump, and we're going to make a video, and we'll have some of that sound right here in the morning. Had a nice 20-minute phone call with him, actually, and he told me a lot of things. Some of the things I can't repeat, some of the things I won't repeat, and some of the things that he actually talked about that you may have heard somewhere else, but you know what? I let people hear him somewhere else. I don't want to run the risk that he wanted something quiet. You know what I mean? So anyway, a very interesting conversation, and I'm going to be speaking to him again, and you'll see. We'll have it all here on the WABC tomorrow. So wish me luck, and to be continued. Lindsey Graham, rest in peace. He needs the rest. He was working very, very hard. All right, we love him, and we'll miss him.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?